them, Sarah really her mind. So now she's had some time to think things with Susie. I can't wait to find out.
PBS presents this program in color.
Oh, that is what area traveling. Gorgeous, isn't it? Fantastic. Absolutely. Your friend Sarah said it was beautiful. More beautiful. Is it? Now, in terms of
Sarah Kelly, stop.
Wow.
Yo, what is up, YouTube? Welcome back.
Welcome back.
If you have any questions, get started. Let's begin in
No.
3, 2, 1, let's go!
Ding 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 dum dum ding ding.
Okay, welcome.
Welcome back to our show.
Jesus Christ, what the?
Jesus.
heck?
Welcome
Yeah,
back
you
to
guys-
our show.
Yeah, if you
I'm
guys want
just
to wait,
breaking
just
news.
link.
Sorry for breaking your ears. Sorry for accidentally killing your ears.
that is hugely exciting.
Yeah, that's just joking, right?
Okay, the last two questions.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
£82,000. You went in.
Yeah.
I don't think anything can be.
Yeah, I am just joking.
Okay.
Alright,
Let's see.
I should go.
Who do you think you are?
On Mario in a cell.
And Sarah would like to put an offer in £32,000 on the house built around in the centre of Germany.
Let's get started. First up, it says USA, River Crossing, and Dutch
Thank
Road
you
Crossing.
very much for the offer. He's going to put it to the vendor and then get back to us.
Let me give y'all a link.
Do you think you would be in this position? Well, I think so yesterday. Just didn't see
Link.
it. No. And then so you look at houses and that's it. It's there.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
Cool. Hello. Hello, Stefan. All right. In fact, just hold on a second. So, Stefan has spoken
Join
to
in the game.
who have a counter
I'm
offer.
going to join
Just
in
over
Joshua.
32,000.
So Joshua, Zero Pacific, and Dinosaur Productions made a new channel called, what's it called, Joshua?
Excellent. I'll put you
It's
on the video. Thank you very much for your
It's
help.
called
It's
Joshua live
It's Colin
streaming channel.
Gamer.
This is his live streaming channel. He made a new live streaming channel because his old fucking
Don't go in there. Do not go in there. Do not go in there.
yeah, do not press the reject button.
I'm just thrilled because it's something that I know she will
Oh, I forgot to put a bomb.
Are you going to come and visit? In a couple of words, how you
The gun is right there.
And just publishing.
Do not press the button. I'm out here.
Thank you.
Keep pressing buttons. I'm gonna go ahead.
Well, I'm happy to say, I would say that, oh, yeah, you
You should.
the building work. Oh, okay. I wish I
Highland act that needs to be caught inside for it could be fatal. Running 24 hours a day, 8 to 9 p.m. tonight. And starting 9 p.m. tomorrow, South Yorkshire's response teams welcome us in once more for all you 999. What's your emergency? Next up on Channel 4,
Okay,
Score in bed.
sorry. Okay, let me find the bomb.
Being close to David and seeing
Boom.
amazing. Nobody in the family had heard from her in over a week, and that was very unusual.
She would have never left her kids with someone else or left the state without taking her children.
An investigation launches, and officers immediately go to
Because
town.
today I found Bon Mario's.
My
Hey, Sarah Cal, you wanna guess what just
What?
literally?
there was some red
Wanna guess
flags
what
that
Ben Mario just did on his profile picture?
once we figured out
What?
the first
He
case,
he
that's when
literally
like the whole
literally
package of
changed it
modes
to his fat ass version.
Within weeks, one of the suspects admits to the crime, but did
Yeah,
not
like
carry
his
out the murder.
picture is fat.
What?
She said,
He just literally his profile picture.
This is a tragic story of
See?
strong
Look, this is his profile picture
While the
now.
merciless case
See?
to the
This
Richard
is
Jackson.
his fat ass. This is the fat ass version.
No.
I'm not calling you that. I'm just talking about Ben Mario's profile picture.
I shall see.
Bruh.
Let's see what happens.
true tragedy. What he did. Because of some
Victor. Oh, it's winning somehow. Somehow winning.
Attention everyone. What did you did with Big Chungus?
Right there.
We know you're the sus imposter.
Ow!
You are dead. Not big surprise.
I'm okay.
February 24th, 2009. Marion County Sheriff's Office receives a check the welfare call.
Hey, dumbass. What is this?
Were contacted by Mrs. Strong, who is Heather's. She told us that Heather was missing, and their family were very concerned something had happened to Heather. It was.
Someone had a hand.
Attention everyone. What did you did with Big Chungus? We know you're the sus imposter. And you spilled. I saw you vent electrical. You spilled Among Us your mom's door. And guys, I released something on I just released something on Roblox today. My avatar, look who's here.
Again.
Sally.
Stanley. Solen. Stanley. 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 Stanley.
Because
Stanley.
you
Stanley.
and by the time
Stanley.
you need to shut down the
Sienna.
server. So that's how
Sienna. Sienna. Stanner. 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 Stanner.
Stan, more like Stan E. More like Stan E.
Stoner. Stongus.
Let me edit it.
Stongus.
On the afternoon of 15th, 2009, and was notified by strange husband to take children that wanted custody of them, greatly upset.
got the feeling that there was family involved and that Josh may be someone to be talked.
Officers contact Josh Gordon, Mr. Heather White, a man. Told them that the last time he saw Heather was on February 5th, and she had asked him to observe her work at a petrol gas station. And she was going to discuss with the fact that she was
Today is Among Us Day. Today is Among Us Day. Today is Among Us Day.
Can I please press the button on your train game, please?
I'm making something. Hold on, I promise.
He's just editing, Southern Cal. He's just editing.
Why is the door locked? How does the door get locked?
Because it's just a, you cannot get in because there's just a thing inside.
Jesus Christ!
Here, I'm about to turn it to you.
No, you cannot add that. You cannot get into inside there because
On an
there's
operation, Joshua
it's just a fake thing.
child
You
at
cannot
So,
railroad crossing. Among Us.
Mungus.
The button
Mungus.
is spin. Please, please remove the invisible barrier. Remove the invisible barrier.
God!
Remove the invisible barrier. 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 Remove the invisible barrier.
Press the button.
Remove the invisible barrier. Remove the invisible barrier. Remove the invisible barrier. Remove the invisible barrier. Remove the invisible
Oh,
barrier.
again. Can't tell him to stop.
Paper check. Heather did not become the last paper check, which seemed unusual. So we wanted to try to
Remove
find
the
out
invisible barrier.
accessing her bank account.
Are you gonna even let me speak?
Heather's
Stop repeating yourself. Are you gonna forget?
Okay, fine. Remove the invisible barrier. Remove the invisible
Karen,
What? It's
Heather had received
What?
orders.
why keep saying it?
I can't keep. How can you say?
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying anything.
No.
You can repeat the same thing over and over again. I'll stop now.
Shut down the server. You mean to
Go,
shut
go
down
in
the
there. It's
server,
gone. It's
Joshua?
gone.
Remove the invisible
Wait, Joshua,
barrier.
you need to turn off the server
Remove
now.
the invisible barrier. Remove the invisible barrier. Remove the invisible barrier.
It's just a fake one. It's fake. Just fake.
No. Get out! Boy, stop! Oh, get out of here! Get out of this stream! Get out of this game! Oh my god!
Remove the delete the invisible wall. Delete the invisible wall. Delete the invisible wall. So I can literally break and crash the train entirely. So
But how
please.
he's gonna be removing it? He doesn't have the model.
I don't have a model.
The other thing that she said was that during our violent interaction and Heather had,
And my volume is at the max.
Joshua reporting this violence, really wanted Heather to drop them so badly. She actually threatened Heather, grabbed her by the hair, and put a knife to her throat. Said, "Don't sign this letter." She was going to worse. And even then, Heather to sign the letter, and luckily Jean Abrams, her boyfriend, stepped in and helped to de-escalate the situation.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I'll screen record on my computer, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. For your intro thing.
To see through hell,
Her clown.
hell,
Sound out for this.
hell,
He's looking inconsistent.
hell, 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 hell,
Cussing.
Oh,
Stop cussing.
Josh
Do
mentioned
not,
that he
hell.
had borrowed some of money, like
Do not-
oh hell.
$30,000
do not
because he
cuss.
had been asleep by Heather. That's $3,000 from
Let's say, for when they had arrested him, they got $1,000 a day for him being in jail for a cause for arrest.
There was
Christy told
now.
us, Josh mentioned that he gave Heather some of that money
God damn it.
in exchange for allowing him to kids. And that the last time he saw her, she was at Metro truck stop, and that she was getting on a bus and going back to Mississippi.
How much was it?
Christy then tells the detective that Amelia was planning to get rid of Heather.
Well, Josh was in jail.
Just call me Caroline every day, crying and stuff. Amelia. And then she would tell me how that's
Oh,
Who's trying to say,
Amelia.
trying to find someone to kill?
Okay.
She's trying to find someone to
She was
kill.
trying at the time, friends, the next night, no Heather.
I do see it.
Well, she couldn't find nobody. She'd asked numerous people to drop her $500. She had got her taxes and then I said, well, why would you want to kill her? She said, well, look what she's doing for us. She got us in jail. And then it got to the point where she was find nobody. She said, well, she said, I'll do it. She said, I'll kill her if I can find somebody to help her to the body. So she said, right now, the only person that she trusts is me and JD in the house. I said, well, so she's scared. My brother-in-law was right. So I was like, well, wait a minute. He said, I don't know what to do. He said, what would you do if you were my sister? I said, well, I won't kill nobody. I said, dude, that's something that, don't ever cross my mind.
Oh great, here we go again, Joshua. Here we
The
go
investigation is
again.
elevated from a standard missing persons. They actually upgraded Heather's missing person case to a missing and endangered, which meant that they were able to dedicate more resources to try to find her. They also put a BOLA, or be on the lookout for, notice out, so other agencies and people could hopefully help find Heather if she's still alive.
Okay.
Once we figured out that it wasn't the usual missing persons case, that's when we went into full detective mode and started working it as if something bad had happened.
Crime, it never sleeps.
Hold on, guys. I just signed off by accident.
You gotta be kidding me, Joshua.
Marion County Sheriff's Office is investigating the disappearance of young mother Heather Strong. Contact her ex-husband's mother, Judy Charlie, when he proves difficult to speak with.
Once deputy spoke to Josh initially,
Try the auto.
as they had follow-up questions and wanted to ask more questions, they had a hard time getting them. At one point, Deputy Billings went and spoke to Josh's mom, Judy Chandler, and she talked about the last time she saw Heather was on February 15th, and that Josh now had the kids, and that they were going to be staying with him.
She didn't know how or why they got there. She obviously knew it was unusual that Heather would give up custody, and Josh had been trying to do that for some time.
And she got real defensive when there was any implication that Josh may have done something, there might be something suspicious going on.
Detectives contact Heather's family in Mississippi to find out more about her.
Through the investigation, we come to realize that Heather was a genuinely nice person, a good mother. She really just wanted to take care of her kids and have a good family.
They talked a lot about how Heather was just a really good mother, and that they felt like she had gotten wrapped up early on at a young age with Josh, and that their relationship had been very volatile, and that they just felt like she could never really break away from that relationship.
When Heather first met Joshua, she was only 15 years old and he was 22. So it's feasible that such a pull over Heather is just she was all that she ever knew. And when they had kids together, it just further encapsulated their lives together and made it even more difficult for Heather to think about a life without him, to leave him, or to disentangle from him, even when they really were going on different paths in life.
The mother was worried Heather and Josh had a tumultuous past. In 2004, Josh Fulgen called her, that I have to contact Heather, and I'm going to throw her in the river like the alligator.
I signed in.
and she heard some mumbling in the
What
background,
about the other
but she also
channel?
heard her granddaughter's voice. So at that point,
What about
Miss
the
Spence
other
called the
channel
sheriff's
called?
office here,
Hold
and
on.
he initiated the case and found out that he didn't put her in a trunk. He was sitting on top of her with his hand over her mouth, and he was ultimately arrested for domestic
That's
violence.
me.
Benjamin McCollum, Heather's ex-boyfriend, contacts police. He is deeply concerned for Heather and tells them about Josh Fulgham's jealous and dangerous behavior.
We found that
I'm getting this right out of here. And you can, oh my god. Serious? He made a settlement to me?
he told us several different instances where Josh would call the house, call his business, and was constantly threatening him because of the relationship he had with Heather. Then told us that Josh threatened to burn his business down several
I
times.
don't know how you'll have this back. Do you listen?
Jealous of their relationship.
That's normal.
Late in 2008.
I'm taking it to where it belongs.
Okay, hold on. I'm about to screen record it. Can you mute it? Can you mute them?
You'll never.
Son Caroline, just
Or
I
I'll be
need to
right back.
record something. You need to be muted.
No, no, don't mute me, please. No, keep me
I need
muted.
to record something.
No, I don't want to be muted. No,
Because of Josh. He and
no,
Colin, just put in the backstage.
no, don't put me in backstage. That's even worse. No, don't. Please, no. I'm gonna.
Hey, you'll come back, okay? You'll come back.
I'm gonna mute. Don't worry. You don't have to put me in backstage.
Okay. I will be muted too.
Okay, my screen.
Okay, thank you.
He would find out that Heather was in any kind of relationship with someone.
Be muted. Just be muted.
Visit
I'm
Spa Elementary School, looking to speak with Heather's 8-year-old daughter, Mackenzie.
Oh, don't mute me for what? Can you hear me?
We can.
Can you hear me?
Stop.
Spa Elementary to go.
Stop muting me. Stop muting me.
You said you want to mute yourself. Mute yourself.
Try to make it better. Goodness gracious.
I just put it to 0. I'm sorry. You cannot hear my fake.
Thank you. If I record it, cause if he turns up, don't worry. I'll redo it. Or I'll be right back. Be right back, okay? Alright, I'll be right back.
And
Hey, put my phone up to 0. You hear me? Don't put my phone up to 0. Don't put my phone up to 0.
Kieran, you said you'd mute yourself. Mute yourself.
I just put it to 50.
I will not mute.
Did I come get you guys from over there? Okay, what happened? What happened then? Where did you guys go then? Your mom and dad went somewhere? Where did they go? Did they come back? Did they come back together? Did dad came back without your mom? And then did he say where she went? You saw her? You saw her leaving back. Right? She never came back with you. How was your dad?
Don't mute me, please.
Information that she may have left by bus for Mississippi. Officers visit the local bus station. When they went delivering on bus station, they spoke with the manager, who even accessed this automated system to buy bus tickets. And police started the search from the 15th of February. And Joshua's name, they found no tickets purchased in the system for any of those names, which just made it even harder to believe that Heather had actually bought a ticket and got on a bus to Mississippi. Detectives carry out an offline search and also retrieve details of recent transactions made on Heather's car.
Detectives wanted
Into the pool you go.
was using this
It isn't the
debit card
same.
and found a transaction at a public
Stop!
supermarket.
Oh my god, stop just
So
freezing
one of our detectives went to the location.
into what you go.
Video of the
Oh, guys, it's in the water now.
who worked
You go
for
there.
and was actively working
You go
for
there.
at the supermarket at the time.
And
Found that the
you
company
go.
name was
They all
West
got
Lawns, and then also found that Josh Fulton was
They
an
drowned.
employee of this company. And ultimately, we were able to determine that Josh Fulton was the person who made the withdrawal of that money from the article on
With all the evidence now pointing to foul play in Heather's disappearance, detectives are confident they are working on murder investigations. And when they are alerted to her bank card being used in the local shop,
everything's like
the
a
net
move.
starts closing in on ex-husband Joshua Fulgham.
Friend or foe?
Putting you all in there.
A coffee for lattes that's just called latte. What if everything was this simple? I want to be the boss.
Drop Taylor's great coffee makes it.
Get a block and then become boss. It's worth pursuing.
Hey,
Pride, it never sleeps.
Marion County investigators trying to track down missing mother of two Heather Strong drive to a grocery store in nearby Reading, where her bank card is being used to pay for a purchase.
As detectives were trying to figure out their next course of action, we learned that Heather's bank card was currently being used at a grocery store in Marion County.
We sent officers to that area to try to locate Josh. They were able to find that he was leaving the area. They followed to the mobile home park.
We had those detectives just stay in surveillance, not make contact, but just watch and make sure we knew where he was at. So when the time came that we did want to, we would know where he was at.
Detectives quickly arrive at Joshua Fulgham's home to question him.
Myself and Detective Bowie went to his mobile home in Pine Grove Mobile Home.
You were that Petra when she called me that day. Jane Akers. Remember with her? She said, when I get home, I got it. I just put it in. No, just me, kids.
he's running for his life.
She called me with the
Detectives ask Joshua to accompany them to the Marion County Sheriff's Office. Questioning.
We first recapped what was at his house. He told us the details of the last couple days before Heather.
At this point, they had their suspicions about Josh's involvement in her disappearance because of the discrepancy in the signatures on the two letters from the two schools that her children were at. They specifically asked Joshua why were the signatures letters.
That walker under no power on it. He's actually trying to kill me. I don't know why he's chasing me. He's in the dark room. Oh, exciting.
Man, come on now. This is not come too far.
Oh God. Does he see me? Does he see me? Does he see me?
Josh said he had used the debit card. There were several other inconsistencies about his story that he was being confronted. And as more and more of these inconsistencies were brought up,
oh, geez. How did I miss? You weren't even trying up to me.
Fulgham's girlfriend
I'm getting against her leg.
and confront her about her threat violence towards Heather.
I am missing every shot. How is that? Alright. Oh, to the sky you go. And right to the point.
You guys made a mutual agreement.
Ow!
I'm not gonna do anything after you guys settle down. You be straight up and honest. No.
I missed. Please, come up. He's actually trying to fly away from me.
Not gonna get in trouble.
Stop.
But you don't need to.
He knows I'm wearing there.
What gift do you have?
I'm telling you right now. This is your opportunity. And I only knock it off.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
No!
And I asked them.
No, he's trying to kill me.
There were rumors from me.
And they're trying to kill me.
I was supposedly trying to pay someone, get rid of her, this and that. I'm not going to speak to that kind of level of a thing. I'm sorry, it's not her. I have to
They're trying to show me in you.
This is another one. I can raise for myself. I wouldn't do that. And they have done nothing to bring myself as long as
After the interviews, the detectives go to see Joshua Fulton's mother, Judy Chandler, again.
Judy remembered that all Josh had dropped the kids off at the house. Judy didn't see Heather in the car, but Michelle Gustafson told her that Heather was in the car when Josh had dropped off the children. When we spoke to Josh's sister, Michelle Gustafson, she spoke about seeing Josh drive into the driveway on the 15th, and she could see someone in the passenger seat, but she wasn't sure who it was. She then spoke to Mackenzie, who had gotten out of the car, asked who was in the car with Dad, and Mackenzie confirmed her that.
After sunset, Joshua decides to continue in exchange for a cigarette.
I
We made no promises.
I
That was his idea. So when we're going outside of order, under my shirt, that recorded the conversation. It was a polo shirt like I'm wearing now. So it was a thin material. So it picked up the conversation.
What do you think?
Yes, she did.
Oh, you found me!
Maybe she was a little
No, don't look there. No.
I'm okay with it.
Don't look this way. He's actually knows I am. He's barely aiming at everywhere I'm going. He actually knows. I'm good there, then.
What is doing? Got rid of her.
What are you doing?
Well, he found me.
Yo, it's good, guys.
I'm hiding in the corner.
So at that point, we knew he was on the right track. So we brought him back inside. We wanted to make sure we got this on video.
2.5 weeks later, he said that then he told us you.
Okay, hold on a second.
And Heather was. No, that's where.
Hold on.
Said that then he told you something else. It wasn't wrong.
I'm trying to get transit.
At this point of the interview, he's then offered that he might be able to help us find her body. But as detectives asked for specifics, he would seem to just speculate where she might, or guess where she might, but have no specific direction on where we can find the body. As time went on, we were going to arrest Josh, and as Detective Bowie was working on that probable cause, Josh was left in the room. After a bit of time, when Detective Bowie came in the room to tell him it's time to go, we're going to take you over to jail, Josh reached in to get all of his personal belongings to get to Detective Bowie.
Okay, give me a sec.
What the way? I probably get me.
Detective Bowie was taken by surprise. He said, right now, you'll take me to the body, and you have to let me see And Detective Dewey then shook his hand and said, "You take me to the body, I'll take it to see your mom." Immediately, we went into to emergency room. We wanted to have him show us his body before he had a chance.
Wait, why I just got 6 subscribers on my channel.
Uninvited. Unwanted. Eject.
Joshua, did you unsubscribe from my channel?
No. I didn't.
It says 6 subscribers.
I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Me too.
Well, we have a range of tools that help you gamble safely. Including deposit limits, time limits,
Why?
you need to take a break. Thumbs up all round. Find out more about sports.
Oh my god, what's happening?
Get ready for the big game with us. This is my favorite side.
Randomized
Murder, tomorrow at 9. Attain the location of the crime and the impact it's had on the community as the focus in Murder Town. And at 11, Lawman, Homicide Hunter.
Friend or foe?
my god,
County Sheriff's
it's
Office
why.
investigating the disappearance of 26-year-old mother of Jane Harris, ex-husband Joshua Fulgham, who is still denying involvement in her murder.
We loaded up.
And that mint bag. No, kill the mint bag! Kill him now, he got me. I moved the G-Man. Easy. Good. Oh, he's trying to kill me every shot. Jesus.
Stop all this. Just tell us
How'd you miss?
Just show us where she's
Kelly, look.
Josh around the side of the trailer and walk.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Where there was a lot of
My phone on my max.
And we were
Automatically, how are you enabling that? Stop enabling automatically adjust.
we're able to turn that
Stop enabling automatically. No, I'm always trying to.
So we had some very good at that point was made to
Oh my god.
bring him back to our office. To prove
I killed the
we had teeth ready to go to the location.
yeah, not LMS.
The area was handed off
They
and
still
raised
like
up
that.
level, like,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
like
at that
me,
point,
it's nice to have people, right?
out exactly where the edge of the
Oh my
hole
god,
would
don't
be,
do that to me.
and
Oh my god.
mark that area with yellow flag.
He's not even in.
Below the earth, there was
I can't fight. Oh my god. Lagging intense.
Kelly, what's my name?
Joshua.
That's right. Colin, what's my name?
Joshua.
She had been underground for almost
It is Santiago.
her body was still
What's your
very
name?
The autopsy was
Ah, Kieran Kelly.
final cause for death.
Okay, so here I go. Wait, I get him? What is this? I'm stuck in.
Forensics process the tracing
Oh,
and
Lord.
results for analysis.
Found
Yeah.
an office chair, and it turns out that she had been placed in that chair, and then duct tape was put around her arms and her mouth. The chair was they located her sneakers in the barbecue, and all of that was brought back to the forensic unit, and we go to the lab for analysis.
Hold it, hold it.
Duct tape was
Oh my
processed,
god, dude.
developed a fingerprint, and the examiner identified it to Joshua's right thumb.
Don't leave
And
me.
there was also a hair attached, and they sent that to the lab, and that was identified as belonging to Heather.
Besides the hit my again, Jesus. Oh God, I am. Oh no, you to steal the plate. Oh God, there's two of them. Oh God, they're both fighting me.
Question her about the disappearance.
They both want to kill me.
Discovery
Why are you killing him? Oh, instantly Jesus.
She tells a story where the night of
I got moved.
out
Oppose me.
morning.
He wants to kill me so badly. Jesus. He's just annoyed.
And while he was talking with her, he's mentioning the baby that they're having together. Said, if you ever do anything with this child like Heather done, I will do the same to you. I will throw your body back.
The car advised that she went to the storage trailer to get something. It was a nondescript.
Let him float into the sky.
Gets into the
I want him to float into the
finds Heather Strong duct tape computer.
Hey, there he goes.
With a bag tape around her. At that point, checks for a pulse. Determines that she.
Get it off! No! I'm forced to wear this! No!
Discovering Heather deceased in the trailer, she calls Josh to come take care of the kids.
I'm like forced to wear this whole time.
And
when he arrives, they make contact with
this is too chaotic. And I can't take my player model.
With money. And once that they were at the trailer, she thought she was going to get money, but that's when he killed her. He hit her
I only do.
and tries to suffocate. She said that she was afraid to tell anybody.
buddy guys, this is Banner here. This banner says no sandy
Next is no there, as to finding out what happened on the night of February 15th, and if Joshua Forger again.
Josh finally
insecure.
Story and really started to complain.
Oh, he's gonna kill me as soon as I spawn.
So you don't know it, then that truck is gone. Watch out. Right there.
I missed that. I missed again! Oh, he's chasing me! He's chasing me! Jesus Christ! No, stop! I'm moving so badly!
We cannot move that truck. I have to sit down. I told her, I was like, hell no. That ain't what I came here. It goes that door. Like, hell.
Darn, I missed.
Running down the hallway. I tried it. I grabbed my own. Walk down the hallway. I heard it. Not heard that. We can have flash. Get over there. Knock her out. Go back. Go back to me. I got it up. Let's go.
At that point, Amelia wanted to break her neck and snap it over, so Josh sat on top of her. Meanwhile, she's pleading and begging for her life, and Amelia still trying to kill her. And that didn't work. That was when Amelia decided that she was going to put her finger over her nose and hand over her mouth and suffocate Heather while she's under this plastic bag.
Bye. The water is the card.
It becomes clear to detectives
Oh my God.
that killing is unrelated by
It's
Joseph.
like I was swinging it back. Oh my God. I can't grab it anymore. Move. It's not in my control room.
Effort to be Heather, he was certainly
Down.
throughout for seeing other men
Into the water.
filing charges against him for domestic violence that he felt
Nice.
wronged by Heather in all of these ways and seemingly invisible.
I got out to do NBC spy industry.
As Josh is confronting Heather about who she may have slept with or who she may have been with, while he was in jail.
On Andrews, fast zombies.
And truly upset about what Heather does.
That's a stream launch.
Seeing how jealous Josh
What's your real Fanny?
must have caused her just absolute rage and jealousy that does everything to
Stream
me.
launch.
I've been willing to kill people so that I can help you. And all you're worried about is who your ex son to be perfect. And I can see why once and for all she had to eliminate that possibility that Josh could ever go back to you.
All detectives now need is for a media card to admit her involvement.
Oh my god, he's investigating.
Michelle says, hey, Amelia just called me. She wants to talk, and I don't know what she wants to talk about. Michelle knows her brother's already been arrested. Michelle probably believes her brother's responsible, but also knows that Amelia's responsible as well, and knows that her brother is in jail, and Amelia's not. So we asked Michelle if she was willing to help us, and she said that she was.
We immediately set up and provided with the bug or listen to the rights in the car, and they can meet. We did want to make sure that the situation was safe, but we were really interested in finding out what Amelia had to say.
Not recording this conversation.
Bedrock, look at the comments. Look at the comments. Better look at the comments. Look what it says.
I just spawned 1,000. He died.
From the conversation, officers approached Michelle's car and charged Amelia with murder of Heather Strong.
When we asked Amelia to come with us, Michelle was I mean, she literally, because not only had they killed her, but here's Amelia sitting there talking about it like she was talking about me. It just meant nothing to her. And the only crime is
Sylvia had no conception she could lie quickly, change her story, and as long as she didn't know which story she had.
Who's trying to shoot me? Who's for reason?
Back on it, doubling down just to try to keep herself out of trouble, even though Julie's had an entire narrative. What happened?
The murder trials are held separately. The Marion County Judicial Center. This trial held first at the end of 2009.
at Amelia's trial, she claimed not guilty. And what she claimed was that she only told the investigators what we. She claimed that she had had her kids taken away and she had been threatened with never being able to see her kids. So that the only thing she was doing with Michelle was trying to gather information. And the only thing that she was doing for us was telling us what she had heard about the case. But that it was a false confession, that she never meant to do those things that she said.
Both Joshua and Mia were ultimately charged with first-degree murder of Heather Strong.
Josh was found guilty of the murder. And the trial went to the jury ultimately recommended a life sentence for Josh. Delia's jury recommended the death for her, and the judge ultimately agreed jury's finding. Now, since the state of Florida has changed, so she's no longer on death row. She was actually taken off of death row.
This case, I'll remember one because very
Yeah. This is hell! This is hell!
These children are
No!
With everything that we've done, the Colonial Parkway murders, 4 double homicides, all coupled. Within a 4-year period,
Really smart people.
Is this the work of one serial killer? Now it's time to determine if these cases are indeed connected.
Gabby Thomas and Becky Dowski.
Oh, the train. This way.
I found it. The same prison in
Some
South.
saw Kathy and Becky together and decided to target them that this was this lesbian relationship that they could not stand for.
The wallet was open and face down.
You know, that tells me even more that whoever approached them pretended to be a cop or was a cop.
David Nowman, Robin Edwards, both shot execution style through the back of the head.
There are cases where offenders are moral enforcement. They take on this identity of somebody who should be out enforcing whatever moral code they believe. There's a wallet right there on the dashboard. And that is also consistent with Bob being out in Lassie.
That could actually be something that could tie these two cases together.
Keith calls Cassandra Haley.
The distance between the third car and the first couple's car was actually within walking distance.
Keith's car was found here along the Colonial Parkway. Some of their clothes and the car keys found inside the car.
If the killer decided to have them stripped, what does that tell you about the killer?
The sexual component to the crime. If that was a fantasy they were trying to live out, it's totally different than the other crimes.
And now Daniel Lauer and Anna Marie Phelps. It's definitely the most vicious attack in any of these murders.
Buddy Joshua.
We be alright.
Okay, so Lonnie, we dug pretty deep into these first 3 cases, and we were lucky enough to have some people talk to us that very often one before.
Friends
As I
online.
put all these pieces together, I'm leaning pretty strongly toward this being a serial killer operating in this region. And I see a series of double homicides. I see young people. They're all Caucasian. They're all in vehicles. I'm going to keep an open mind, but that's kind of what I'm looking at right now.
My pizzas!
Looking at this evidence, I'm still having some reservations because I'm seeing differences in the crime scenes, the motive, type of weapon. The first 2 cases talked about the killer, moral enforcer, someone who was targeting people who were doing some type of behavior that was offensive morally to the killer. On the other hand, the killer of Keith and Cassandra may have been motivated by a sexual fascination with victims, which is different from the first 2 cases. I look at the method of killing Kathy and Becky, who are strangled, then their throats are slit, whereas David and Robin were shot Execution style to the back of the head.
Let's make another upload.
And what's cheesy with Sandra, we have no idea because we've never found her body.
A Wonder Man go.
So I'm really eager to get into
Wonder Man go.
the case to see what connects actually these other three cases. So this fourth case is Daniel Lauer and Anna Marie Phelps. Daniel was 21 and Anna Marie was 18. And they were last seen on September 4th of 1989, which was actually Labor Day weekend.
Anna Marie was dating Daniel's brother, and Daniel decided to move in with them and help pay the bills. Anna Marie and Daniel were driving down to Virginia Beach to meet up with Daniel's brother.
Daniel Hayes down to Virginia Beach, but their car was found heading westbound on the other side of I-64. If this truck stopped on the on-ramp back to the interstate.
And if you follow I-64 down east, it intersects with the Colonial Parkway. So that's another reason that this double homicide is tied into the Colonial Parkway.
Actually found about a mile away from where the car was off this logging road in the woods.
Tommy's.
Can I do this in this room?
The blanket laid almost ceremoniously over them.
Oh, that's right, I can. Oh my god, this is
Because the cause of death is still relatively unknown.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna take my
We're
break.
going to see if we can uncover anything else that might help us.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this fourth case fits in with the other three cases.
Right. But the behavior in this case harkened back to the other cases we looked at.
Once we dig into this last case, we'll have the whole picture of all four cases here, and we'll be able to sit down and make our own evaluation of whether these four cases are the work of one serial killer or the different killers of these people.
So Lonnie, where do you think we should start?
I think we should start with Steve Spigola. Remember the investigator I talked to before who investigated the cases? I understand he really looked into the fourth case in particular, and so I think we should both go talk to him and find out what he has to say about it. See, thanks again for being with us. It's really good. How do you go through this last
Oh my god! Oh, this is full of it.
Emily was 18, Daniel was 20.
Did he have any enemies?
They had no criminal record. Very long time. A small drug deal. Who knows what happened?
Her name was Anna Maria, but we call her Anna a lot. She was the middle sister, the third child, older sister for me, and then I'm the second. She was the third, and then we have her brother William, who's the baby.
Anna was probably the favorite, not too mom's favorite. She could pretty much get away with anything.
She had a very sharp wit. Anything you said to her, she had a very smart comeback, and she didn't take long to come back. She had it right then.
I was 16, Anna was 18. We were all really close. Small house, 6 people. Prior to me getting my license, Anna went anywhere, she would drag me along. I mean, I had to go whatsoever I wanted to or not. I mean, she took no dates with her against my will. I had to go. How you going, Pete? And then get stuck in this house.
Anna started dating the brother of Daniel, and she
Oh my god!
strong-willed, and she wanted to move to the beach, with him.
The Bubble Gum is about to start, so
His older brother, Daniel,
What?
was
What is this on?
was going to
I'll
be
take
able to
my
help.
break.
Because they were very young and weren't able to live on their own. Plan had to work at night. So Anna and Daniel, he had come home and get his belongings, and she wanted to run home so she could see family.
Oh my
Go back to the beach with her. Right, okay,
god! My God.
Then she said, no, never mind.
Dear God, help. Dear God.
She insisted not to.
I don't face yourself. This is getting full of explosives. Get ready. Because I'm gonna fill in this entire map with explosive barrels. I'm actually, let's say he's actually going ballistic. Demons.
And from Amelia County to Virginia Beach, we take 64.
And
That's the road to get to there. When they did show up, there was concern. And eventually, Daniel's car was found in a rest area, or but not the rest area they would have passed to get to Virginia Beach. So the car was found on the opposite side of the street that it should have been, at a rest stop. It was basically back into the acceleration lane.
wait.
Law enforcement comes across this car, it's abandoned, and then of course she starts what's going on. The car is gassing, it started. And the crime scene analysis here, there's no blood, there's no indication of struggle, there's no clothes laying all over the tires.
What the heck?
There's a rest stop.
What you liking?
Lots of traffic.
Lots of traffic.
Right.
Connection problem?
Science of what, drugs doing or drugs use.
Come here.
It's one of those questions at this point, and I don't know whether that was a signal from the killer himself.
And I think I crashed the game on accident. Oh god, I successfully crashed the game somehow. Jesus. Help, the game crashed.
Where the bodies were found, was there any blood on any of the clothing?
Hey,
It's been
Joshua.
over a year working on this task force. Do you believe that they are related?
It's a pretty bold statement.
Why would the killer do that?
Yeah, numerous cases where serial killers have talked to the police.
What does that tell you about the killer?
It crashed.
Have earmarks of possibly someone named you.
Hey, Joshua. Hey, Joshua. Should we go to your show? Your show's about to go.
Oh wait, it's the hero.
Words can describe it.
Your show's best.
I can't imagine you hit with a flashlight, which you believe is a bomb. We cut the entire kitchen floor out, and
He confirmed the body of Anna Marie Phelps. Another body is believed to be Dan Lauer. The couple's disappearance is strikingly similar to others.
There was a big search for Anna Maria and Daniel, but no one could find them. A few days later, Anna Maria's family actually put up a reward of $7,000 for anyone who could find
I loaded in. It's so like.
later, along the logging road, some hunters found 2 bodies.
They were not there. They were again just on top of the ground. So by the time law enforcement got there, there was never really clear indication of what happened.
So Steve had a lot of interesting things to say about this fourth case. First of all, this couple was not a couple. He also said that this is not a lover's lane area like the other 3 cases.
But while it's not a lover's lane, if we back up a little further, I do see all these other locations as places where you could go to hook up, drink beer, do something that you didn't want anyone else to see. And a truck stop kind of fits into that.
Well, I'm curious to see when we go there if it's, an isolated area where you would have privacy to do something you didn't want other people to see. I also have a lot of questions about the bodies in this case. How they were found, how they were positioned. It would be great to talk to someone who actually was there at the scene and was able to see the bodies.
Well, I talked to a Virginia State police officer, Danny Plott, and he worked the case from the very beginning. And he's willing to talk to both of us and walk through it and tell us what it looked like.
And I don't know the terrain of where the bodies were, how far away it was from the logging road.
Right.
Jesus.
I want to know what the
Boy, the
was on
freaking hell.
any of the clothing.
This guy's actually trying to kill me.
That would help us determine how in fact they died.
I'll be around the corner.
All those things
No.
could potentially connect this
Where is he?
back to the other
Is he
murders.
gone?
You were part of the task force that worked on a lot of these cases, right?
Yes.
So tell us about this case.
Well, found the car. We didn't find the owner. The owner's family that had called the tow truck. So we didn't know what was going on, but we knew that, that was dangerous. He's not going to just leave it and not call somebody. So it was processed as a crime scene. They disappeared around Labor Day of 1989 and were found in October of 1989.
So where do you believe that the killer or killers first encountered Adoration?
Like, oh my Jesus! Drink! Cow! What?
They were encountered at eastbound
Drink
rest,
me!
and then they were taken from the eastbound rest area to where they were killed and left. They were traveling eastbound, going to Virginia Beach, but the car was found up at the westbound rest.
So they were driven in their car?
Yes. They did not walk to where they were killed, I don't believe.
There are consistency in comparing it to the second couple killed, David and Robin, who we also believe did not walk from where their car was found to where they were killed.
Don't do a walk along at me.
So explain to us how the bodies were laid and what the whole topography looked like at that time.
There's some gold in here.
Where we would have come off, not even a logging road, almost a logging trail, and we had walked several hundred yards into the woods. And then there was a small clearing, still a lot of trees, and both Daniel and Anna Maria were laying side by side.
How far away was the car from?
The car was probably a mile to a mile and a half.
So could you see the bodies from the trail that you're talking about, the logging trail?
No, you could not. Someone took them from the logging trail up into the woods so they could not be seen by someone driving by. That's what always interested us. I don't think that was something that you could just find. You had to know what was down there.
I'm hiding.
Daniel and Anna Maria started out covered with a blanket. The blanket slightly by small animals, and by the time crime scene was worked, they basically were skeletal remains.
Ow.
Were you able to determine the cause of death?
The remains of both Daniel and Anna Maria sent to the Institute. He examined both sets of remains and found a knife cut on the third finger of Anna Maria's hand. And his speculation is that hand, and I believe it was a left, but I'll use my right for making it easier. It was up like this to try to protect your throat from a knife, and the knife cut it.
So based on your over a year working on this task force and looking at all four of the cases, do you believe that they are related?
Personal opinion, no, I do not.
You think that some of them are related?
I believe there's a real good possibility that Rebecca Dowski, Kathleen Thomas, and Keith Call and Cassandra Haley, those two are related. They occurred in and around Colonial Park. Now the others were close. Ragged Island was within a 60-mile radius, and New Kent 30 to 40 miles from the parkway. But the only two that occurred on the parkway, in personal opinion, those two could be related, and that's just an opinion.
What the heck? I'm stuck. How? How am I stuck? How am I stuck? Ah! I wanna move! I can't move! Ah! No! No! I can't move!
They're writing it down. Because on one of the speakerphones, Anna Maria's was
oh, come on.
like a nick or a cut from a knife. So that might have been a knife and just happened.
The other thing we found was that the bodies were a couple hundred yards off the logging road. The killer had a level of familiarity with that area, knowing what the traffic would be, because like most killers, they don't want the bodies to be discovered quickly because it creates distance between them and the killer.
Yeah, you know what I found interesting is that Danny Fox also believes that these killings are not connected.
Did say that
ow! How you hit me?
Yeah, based on the proximity.
I'm out. I'm out, finally.
the Parkway. Right. After talking to Steve and Danny, it's looking like this fourth case is not connected to the other three. But we should try and put that to the test. Let's look at the physical and see what that shows us. Go to the crime scene, bring June from
Oh, there he is, go again. Here we go to get back in.
It might connect this case to the other three.
Alright, well, I think we need to start sort of with the macro view. This is a very busy highway. This is not a lover's lane by any stretch of the imagination. All the other locations were right on a river.
There's no water nearby here, right?
So far, there's two major differences on a macro scale.
Really, a mask.
Okay, let's check out the car. The first thing, we got this post clip. It's a pretty bold statement.
What's the statement?
Well,
as he found me.
Having the window down and that in the window is going to draw attention to here.
So you think that this was left here by the killer after
you laughed at me?
To attract attention to the car?
Yeah, I believe that seems to be the most likely explanation.
Why would the killer do that?
If this is the same serial killer, maybe an attempt to mock the police, saying that you're never going to catch me.
Jim, have you ever had a case with a serial killer who...
How? He tried to kill me if I say that.
Certainly, we have numerous cases where serial rapists and killers have talked to the police by writing letters to them. BTK, Center City Rapists in Philadelphia, and Kaczynski, Needlebaum. They're posting.
Did he save me? Did he save me? Oh, God, I can't hide anymore. He's putting it up.
Why don't we just get in the car?
Put it down. Put it down. Put it down. He can't find me.
So, I'm thinking if the killer is taking both of those...
Oh, I heard me. God, I can't move. I can't move. Put this back a bit.
In the back seat is
Let me shoot this.
Taking down to move in with Andrea.
I'm really shooting and I'm stuck no matter what. And he's making me more stuck. No! I'm stuck permanently. Help!
To Anne-Marie's room, Daniel's
Stuck.
That makes sense.
Jesus, how did that kill me instantly?
Pick the victims up at one spot, take them to another spot, and then dump the car at another spot.
Yeah, it's not a simple ultimate crime. It's something that had to take some thought. If I'm going to leave the bodies there, deep in the woods, how am I going to get
He doesn't know what I'm doing.
where when they find it, they're not going to be looking in that area? That's what makes me think that he actually was trying to get this car stolen by having it stick out like this. And with this road and even though I'm doing this, you're never going to catch me. Hey, he was right.
Friend or foe?
He died. Come back. Come on. Come back. Come back. No, I want my Squid movie so.
This is extremely strange. How did the body get there?
There was one aha moment in the entire investigation. And that's it.
I've met
Oh.
victims.
The main question is, how many more?
It was said that that was the person who talked about.
Neither one of them thought they could steal evidence about what might have happened.
There's some sort of personal connection between the perpetrator and the victim. A lineup of true crime and a new series of Murder Town coming soon, this time with me, Anita Rani. Summer on Crime and Investigation. Truth is worth pursuing.
Crime, it never sleeps.
One day after Anna Marie Phelps and Daniel Lauer were reported missing, Lauer's abandoned car was found at this rest area near Providence Forge. Thursday, the skeletal remains of 2 people were discovered in a wooded area 3 miles away. Darkness invites criminals, and someone asleep at a rest stop could be prime prey for a killer. This is the area where they found the bodies.
It's no wonder it took them weeks to find the bodies here. It was just damn luck, right?
Right. And when you consider the vastness of these woods, I think it's a miracle those bodies were found.
So, what does that tell you about a killer who is leaving these bodies not in water, on the land, covered with a blanket, but still out where people could find them?
Well, the fact that they were covered with a blanket, we see that sometimes with public undoing. And it could be that remorse has set in and they want to figuratively erase what they had done. In this case, putting a blanket over them, this is a very different body disposal site than the other 3 that we saw.
Does that lead you to believe this might be a different killer or a different type of killer?
Double homicides are fairly rare. In this area, they're very rare. Could mean that it's the same killer, but somehow evolved.
Are there any signatures in the crime that led you to believe it was this moral enforcer photo?
I certainly don't see that in this case. However, the blanket over these bodies, it does tell me that that's sort of almost a carrying act. If he had piled up sticks and leaves and so forth, there would be a debate as to whether that was practical or he was trying to undo circumstance. In this case, putting a blanket over them, it's almost a protective gesture.
When we reconstructed this crime scene with Jim Clemente, he actually pointed out a number of differences between this case and the other 2 cases.
Right, and one of those differences was really intriguing to me, and that was the roach clip that was used to maybe taunt the police.
Yeah, and he said this taunting made it look like this was a different killer because this is something new. But I actually think that could be interpreted as an evolution of the same killer. He's getting more confident, so now he's to the point where, hey, I'm actually going to put this roach clip out here to taunt you to say, look, you haven't caught me. I've gotten away with it now 4 times.
Or instead of this being a cocky offender, this could be a totally different one because that is something I don't really saw in these other ones. Jim also brought up this idea of the blanket and that was very different from the way the other victims were treated.
I think we should talk to our friend Dr. Laura Cutler, a forensic criminologist, have her look at this physical evidence and the way the bodies were. Because right now, to me, it looks very different from the other 3 cases, but she might see something there that ties them into the other 3 cases.
Yeah, let's do it.
We always identify the crime scene characteristics first. In this crime scene, there's evidence that maybe there was stabbing involved here, and there's a blanket. The blanket is so significant because people who are angry with the victims oftentimes cover their eyes. The blanket could show remorse, it might, but it is also control from the standpoint of, I'm putting you face down, I'm covering you up, I get to turn around and look at you before I leave, not the other way around.
The fact that they took that extra effort to cover them for whatever reason, does that tell you that the killer knew them or was connected to them or had a relationship with them somehow?
It shows emotionality to me. Emotionality is being able to study the crime scene characteristics and infer the way that the offender feels and felt before, during, and after the offense. There's a lot of other emotion, almost like caring or remorse. It's not a random behavior. It's not a psychotic behavior. It's a purposeful behavior.
Carefully placed next to each other, almost as if they're sleeping.
It has earmarks of possibly someone they knew.
We've now looked at all 4 cases. We have talked to the victims' families. We've talked to investigating officers on the case. We've talked to journalists who covered the case. We've done the reconstructions of every one of these crime scenes. We've turned over stones. Now it's time to step back and look at everything in its totality. Is this the work of one serial killer? Are they distinctive events? Or are some of them connected? We've broken this down into 7 different categories: location, treatment of bodies, method of murder, time and date, victimology, motive, and crime scene.
Right.
And that will help us organize our discussion on deciding if this is all one serial killer or if there were different killers involved. So where do you want to start?
I guess let's start with location.
Okay. We went to all of these locations. And when I was at the location of Kathy and Becky's, that was very isolated. To me, that was stereotypical Lover's Lane area. In the Ragged Island case, that was also somewhat like the Lover's Lane area. It was sort of isolated, it was dark. But with Keith and Cassandra, it was so close to the Parkway, I don't think that was kind of similar to these areas because it seemed much less private. But then again, I don't believe that they were actually killed in that area, so I thought the location was somewhere else and having nothing to do with Colonial Park.
I agree with you on that.
Okay, and then in the last one, that was that truck rest stop where there was a lot of that's not a place where you go, you know, for friends and hang out.
So when I look at all this to me looks like the hunting ground of a serial killer. These are places where you can either have anonymity or have some kind of a hookup, places where things are overlooked, so to speak.
Wanted to 64. Did he just block me? That just blocked instantly. Did he? Oh, he blocked. Hang on, it's the button. Since again. D. Wanted 64.
Oh my god! Oh my god, I got way more than I thought I had. I thought I ranked 200.
You're in on mode. What?
Truck stops are notorious for all kinds of sex trafficking, drug dealing, everything. I'm going serial killer.
So in your opinion, they're all linked because they're all kind of these areas of high risk behavior.
Exactly.
I think you make really good points, and I agree. I'm going to go with that there is a connection between those locations.
Time and date. They all happened on a holiday or on a weekend. They all happened at night.
But I think that any murderer wants to go and kill somebody is going to probably take the cover at night weekend or holiday weekend because more people are out there accessible at that time. Experts have also referred to these as anniversary kills because they occur in consecutive years from 1986, 87, 88, 89. But when you actually look at the dates themselves, they're not a year apart. They start in October, then go to September, less than a year. Last with about a year and a half after that. So to me, there really is no anniversary date aspect to it. So I'm going to put time and date under different killers.
When I look at these 4 double homicides, I see that this is someone that likes to kill at night on a weekend or a holiday weekend. And when I look at that, I see it as a pattern. So I'm going to put time and date under serial killer.
Method of murder. We're talking about essentially the manner of death, the way the people were killed. And you know, in the first case, Kathy and Becky, this was such a brutal crime. These 2 women were strangled, their throats were slit, Kathy's also decapitated. David and Robin are shot execution style, 1 single bullet through the back of the skull. Then we have Keith and Cassandra, we don't know. They never found their bodies. Daniel and Anna Marie, is 1 nick mark on one of the bones from the hand of Anna Maria. And I just don't know even that that's enough to convince me that there was a knife used in that case. If there had been this, splitting of the throat to the way that Kathy had been, almost decapitating her, there might have been, injuries to the neck bones or right bones. So for me, I don't see any patterns. So I see it as different killers using different methods.
We came to the conclusion during our reconstruction that a gun could have been used to control both Kathy and Becky. Now, when we look at murder number 2, obviously we know very well a gun was used, very clear. Number 3, we don't know. Number 4, we have an indication of a knife. I think the killer may have defined his method, but differences do matter. So for method of murder, I'm going to go under different killers. with regard to the treatment of the bodies. I see that in this case, the killer tried to get both bodies in the car and the car into the water, and he was unsuccessful. For the second set of murders, he got closer to the water than he was the hot shore. The third set of murders, he had lying bodies. So it looks like the methods have been improving to the point where the killer was actually successful in permanent concealment of both bodies. Case, the concealment was successful enough that we're not even able to determine cause of death. I see this as a pattern of
Oh my god, what's that?
better at concealing the bodies. So I'm gonna go serial killer.
Kathy and Becky
What is this?
very viciously. With Robin shot in the head and in the water.
What?
Cassandra, we don't know, obviously, how these
I
bodies.
don't see no Noiku.
I disagree with you in that I don't.
Oh my god, the Noiku is so darkness?
Bodies in water.
Not even a speck of light in here.
They're going to take a risk and do
What the hell?
this time was successful. So I don't think if it was the same killer.
It's the manga toy construct. How?
As far as Daniel and Anna Maria,
How?
they're laid out next to each other very carefully with a blanket over them. Very different types of treatment than here. So
Okay.
the vision. Now we're talking about a killer who is treating his bodies almost with respect. So as far as the three sets of bodies,
How did you do this?
it's very different treatment in each one of them. So I'm putting treatment of bodies.
How did you do this?
What's more terrifying? That there's a serial killer out there, or that there are 4 different killers who have gotten away with killing 8 people?
High stakes game, very few take.
To the real testimony in the room defense.
How did you do this? Tell us. I see it.
Investigation at the brand new General Reynolds kidnapping. A tale we see her jealousy giving happens to start the functions in the catch-up of beloved killers. And at 11, she is extraordinary life as a homicide hunter, Tenjo Kida.
Friend or foe?
Let's go to technology. This is essentially covering everything we know about the victim. Okay? In the first murder of Kathy and Becky, we have a very accomplished Naval Academy grad and her girlfriend, both athletic, the rest of the victims. Then we go to David Nobley and Robin Edwards. David's 20, Robin's just a child. She's 14. She's had some mental health issues, trying to sort of find herself, having a little bit of reckless behavior in her life. And David is 20 years old and just found out a 16-year-old girlfriend is pregnant, trying to gear up to be a father and husband. Keith and Cassandra are college students at a party that night, age 20 and age 19. Daniel and Anna Maria, they're both kind of struggling financially, age 21 and 18. So they're all kind of in different places in their lives, doing different things, involved in different activities. So I don't see a pattern.
What I see is a series of couples, all white
Oh,
couples,
what happened? Oh, and I'm stuck.
all at night, all look like they're in their 20s. I mean, that's pretty.
There's something wrong happening here.
So when I look at all of this, I attribute all of them to a serial killer.
And I take all of those great factors that you just mentioned, and I say that makes them all a group of vulnerable victims to any killer and every killer out there. So to me, it still does not indicate one serial killer. So I put it under different killers. So let's go to crime scene next.
So looking at the crime scene, there are a lot of similarities. For example, the cars in all of these cases appear to be moved. The cars were not the places where the murders took place. Clothes were located in the car, shoes were off, oftentimes. What are the odds that 4 different killers killed 4 different couples and moved 4 vehicles?
Well, I think that the reasons why each one of these cars were moved are different. I think the reason the car was moved here is because the killer was trying to get rid of the bodies. I think the reason the car was moved here was because this killer was trying to distract investigation away from finding the bodies in the water. I think the reason the car was moved here was to distract the investigators and think that it was connected to the Colonial Parkway. And in this case, the car being left on the on-ramp, that could have been for a number of reasons, whether it was to distract from where the killing actually occurred, or maybe the victims themselves parked the car and walked away from it. We just don't know. But I don't see a pattern with what happened in the other case.
So for me, the similarities are so compelling that they cannot be ignored. And as an investigator, I'm going to say for crime scene, this is the work of a serial killer.
As a prosecutor, I do not see similarities between these crime scenes, so I'm putting this under serial killers. Motive. In this case, there is a lot of evidence showing that this could have been a hate crime, the motive behind why the killer or killers targeted and killed Kathy because of their lesbian relationship.
I'm gonna copy him.
And as far as David and Robin, did talk about this being a moral enforcer, someone who was targeting people who were doing some type of action or behavior that was offensive morally to the killer. I know with Keith and Cassandra, as far as it being perhaps sexually motivated, that's a possibility. And then with Daniel and Maria, based on the way the bodies were treated, to me,
I'm not doing so well.
Somehow knew them, that there was this personal connection, and that's why you see there's some type of remorse afterward. The speculative motives here, to me, look very different.
And I see what you're talking about, that Kathy and Becky's murder could have been a hate crime, but
I did it.
As we moved through the murders, I saw the evolution of a serial killer. I see the killer evolving, not only in his method, but his motives. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to say for motive, serial killer.
Okay, and for me, the motive is very different, so I'm going to say different killers.
So Lonnie, looking at this, it really kind of brings to bear what we're thinking. This is an unbelievably complex set of double homicides. And as much as we tried, we weren't able to come to a definitive conclusion. And we weren't even able to agree upon it ourselves.
Yeah.
So I can understand completely why all the law enforcement agencies, the families and everyone, didn't really come to one solid conclusion.
What I hope is that just by putting a spotlight on this case again and discussing it and going through the details, that someone might see this, think about it, and remember that they know something, or have the courage to finally come forward, because it's amazing how many cases, cold cases, are actually solved that way. People know things, whether they realize it or not, but when they come forward and they give that information, that might be the thing that turns the case. My gut tells me that these cases aren't connected, that there are too many differences for them to be the same killer. That's what I believe the evidence shows.
I'm hoping that law enforcement will take a fresh look at this and apply every investigative technique to try to give closure to these families. Because to me, this is the work of a serial killer.
I'm so excited, I just can't hide it.
That's the sound.
I'm back to lose control now, because I keep moving.
I think I did it. It's here.
He was given an unbelievably record time, which stands as uniquely dark in American blues.
What made an officer of the law turn murderer?
I don't know what personality issues would have led a sworn police officer to flip over to the dark side and to follow criminal into robberies and violence.
Murder was not his Antoinette's natural disposition.
We meet the people who came face to face with the killer within.
When Antoinette walked out of the office that day, I never heard her name or anything about her until the day after the murder.
In 1995, New Orleans was shocked by the news that a police officer and two young siblings had been shot dead in a restaurant.
Williams was the first one shot when two robbers entered the restaurant.
People were almost at a loss for words. It was a very, very dark chapter.
The two people arrested were an 18-year-old criminal and a police officer from the very same district as the officer who had just been shot.
When it comes to Antoinette Frank, we knew almost nothing about her until the February came out. Generally speaking, New Orleans is a party-people business city. It's a city that would rather celebrate Mardi Gras, jazz fest, cheer on the same football team, and not have to worry about the police department, the corruption, and the threat of crime.
Born in 1971, Antoinette Frank grew up with her older brother and two younger siblings in a small town called Opelousas, 200 miles west of New Orleans. I don't think Antoinette Frank had a happy or stable childhood. Certainly her father was a very negative and toxic influence on her life. He was in and out, he was abusive, and if he was abusive to her, he'd have been abusive to everybody else in the household. They may have lived in fear. Crime was never far from family life.
She has a brother who himself has been in trouble with the law. He's been out of work, he's been in trouble with armed robbery.
There's a lot of violent behavior that
No.
in a family. So if a parent or an older sibling is engaged in offending, the younger sibling to these
Still in God mode? How?
and it desensitizes them to what's wrong and what's right.
Why am I not allowed to use this gun? They only made it to fly.
He seemed to be struggling with nightmares, flashbacks. It is possible that he may have been suffering from some sort of post-traumatic stress. There is evidence to suggest that there was early violence and aggression in the family home. Her father was the perpetrator of that aggression. She and
No, what the heck? I don't get out no stick out.
He was very psychiatrically ill and erratic in his behavior. He would do things like hang up moves up and tell him to stay inside.
her father's property. He would go on great hysterical rampages, and the aggression was happening very frequently. Despite the family problems, Antoinette seemed keen to break the mold.
From a very young age, Antoinette wanted to join the police force. You can assume that this is because she wanted to first potentially make sure that the person she experienced to them. So this was a very positive calling for her, and she really did have the intent to positive impact on the world. She was engaged in school. She was very committed to this future career and wanting to make sure she could become a police officer. So she was doing exceptionally well.
She had been a junior police officer when she was a teenager, and said that she had wanted to be a police officer for about 6 years. I think in high school she was involved with the police auxiliary.
Antoinette's family was probably very surprised by her decision to want to join the police, but at the same time, she was probably rebelling from this entire environment, the structure, everything that was going on, seeking a better life.
I think, given her background, given her personality, she wanted to be in a job where she was on the edge of things.
Too young to join the police, in her final year in high school, Antoinette took a part-time job.
She had been employed at Walmart in Opelousas and was fired because of conflicts with other coworkers.
She appeared to struggle with making friends and working with colleagues. And I think one of the key things is her inability to kind of see things from different perspectives, and that seemed to be where she clashed with others.
Aged 18, she graduated from Opelousas High School and her family moved to the big city, New Orleans.
The community in New Orleans is not like any other city. Majority of the city, rich neighborhoods, poor neighborhoods, predominantly white neighborhoods, predominantly black neighborhoods are spread out in a checkerboard pattern throughout the city. You go from Grand Mansion to St. Charles Avenue, a few blocks away, you have some of the worst crime hotspots, dilapidated housing just blocks away. People were actually fleeing the city, moving from suburbs, in some cases, further out of the state, simply because they couldn't deal with the danger of living alone.
Over the next few years, some of her family did move back to rural Opelousas, but Antoinette and her father stayed in New Orleans.
She was hired by a Walmart in New Orleans, actually got very good recommendations from there.
But a career in a supermarket wasn't enough. She would pursue her childhood dream of becoming a police officer.
She had wanted to be a police officer for about 6 years. She had a long history of working in connection with the police departments.
For Antoinette, wanting to become a police officer was her life's goal. For her, it was really a calling. She wanted to use her experiences as a child and help others to make sure that their lives were better than what she experienced. However, a lot of those issues and baggage that she dealt with from an early age carried through to adulthood.
Aged 21, while living with her father, she finally applied to the New Orleans Police Academy.
March of 1992 was when Antoinette began the application process for the New Orleans Police Department.
But she failed 2 of the psychological written tests and so was then sent for an in-person interview. Dr. Phil Scoria was the psychiatrist for the new police recruits at the time.
Antoinette really was kind of different than most of the people that I saw. Most people were pretty conservatively or casually dressed. When Antoinette came in, I was struck by how she was dressed almost inappropriately. She looked like she was going to a cocktail party, not coming to a job interview.
A girl like Antoinette Frank, who didn't come from a family, didn't have a lot of influence or control over the things that were happening around her. She probably had the most control when she looked sexy. She wanted to go to an interview where she had some power and control over what was going to happen. She may have thought, sexy works for me, and this is why, I'm going to dress like this. But of course, it's completely inappropriate.
I did ask her why she wanted to become a police officer. That she wanted to help others. I tried to get a little bit deeper into what her motivations were, but she really didn't have any explanations. I thought that was a little unusual that she had not thought it through more than that. I asked Antoinette if she had had any problems on any job or been fired from any employment, and she said no. And I knew from her background investigation that she had been fired from a job at Walmart. On my report, I put that Antoinette was rather shallow and superficial, and I didn't feel like she had insight into her own behaviors or issues, and that she would not be a good candidate. My guess would be is that Antoinette was probably pretty hurt, and I imagine it made her pretty angry.
She wanted it so much to join the police and then to get rejected. This was a girl who'd been really kind of rejected all her life. This is another big rejection. She also wasn't the type of girl to take rejection lying down.
She went through the appeals process. She actually had another psychiatrist evaluate her. So I had no idea that Antoinette had appealed and had gotten into the police academy.
Dr. Phil didn't know it then, but he had come close to seeing the killer within Antoinette Frank.
When Antoinette walked out of my office that day, I never heard her name or anything about her again until the day after the murders. I had no inkling from that interview that Antoinette could be a murderer.
Friend or foe?
Application to the police academy. Undeterred, she found a way through on a second attempt.
The New Orleans Police Department usually followed my recommendations on those evaluations. Now, there was an appeal process, and that's what Antoinette did.
There's a very fine line between not taking a no for an answer and being dedicated and persevering and not accepting the reality of a situation. And it seems like Antoinette had a difficulty with both of these. This is incredibly unusual. It's not only saying that she doesn't trust this expert and authority figure, but it also shows that when she had something in her mind that she wanted done, she was going to go to full lengths to make sure it was accomplished.
Despite being on her way to becoming a police officer, it seemed Antoinette still wasn't happy. In January 1993, she went missing from home.
She had left a note which was found, and on it was written, "I was doomed since the day I was born. I hate myself and my life." Her family actually became worried, and it seems like she had this nihilistic view that she always thought no matter what happened, the worst outcome was always going to occur.
Antoinette Frank was very troubled in a lot of ways. From the day I was born is the most revealing statement ever attributed to Antoinette Frank, and goes a long way to show that she herself realizes how troubled she is.
Typically, police officers are more selfless. They want to help others in society, and they typically know if they have any issues. It's rather unusual for somebody who knows they have red flags to still apply for law enforcement and to make it all the way through. And that's a very small proportion of all applicants.
Antoinette eventually returned home, and 2 weeks later was finally hired by the New Orleans Police Academy. By late February 1993, she had achieved her childhood dream and gained her badge. She was now working as a police officer.
Things didn't go really well for her when she joined the police. She wasn't somebody who was popular with the other officers, and the police is a very particular community of people. Nobody really wanted to be partnered up with her.
She really was a bit of an outlier in the department, feeling alienated and ostracized and feeling those exact same feelings from childhood that she ultimately went to the police department to escape.
It didn't help that she regularly changed partner.
One reason her partners had stated they didn't want to be assigned with her any longer was it seemed like she was a compulsive liar. And rather than just simply admitting and saying she didn't know or she was going to improve, she would lie to cover it up. And she felt like if she just kept her head up and keep doing that, she would make it. But all that was they always really saying trash talk around her.
In 1994, 2 years into Antoinette's role, Antoinette was called to a crime scene that would change her life forever. She caused drama with 18-year-old Roger Lacasse. So she apparently drug dealing situation where he actually got shot.
When she was in that hospital room talking with Rogers, it should have never even been an idea that she could have been involved with him in her mind.
She tried to cheat Roger.
And watch for me the outro.
Oh, are we done?
Yeah.
CBS presents this program in color.